Welcome to Disaster Health and Sheltering, a tabletop exercise for nursing and medical students and other professionals preparing for disaster shelter healthcare. My name is Dr. Janice Springer, and this is the faculty presentation. I'm going to walk you through the steps you need to take, and in particular the places where there's a risk of misunderstanding, so that you can prepare to bring this course to your nursing students. You'll see the top of the web page that's at www.disasterhealthandsheltering.org. That's how you got to this recording. This is a page that has all the links to help you. In the upper right-hand corner are the key links to help you build this training into your curriculum plan. The course fact sheet gives an overview of this course. The course toolkit has all of the instructor's guide, the forms that we'll be reviewing during the exercise, and more information. The ONX system describes how this training meets the Homeland Security exercise and evaluation program requirements and has examples. And that is of value for your students to have this HCEP qualified training. So that's a good idea. And finally, the last bullet, the schedule exercise request form. And that is one of the critical pieces where we sometimes have a misunderstanding about how things work. So let's look at the next slide to see what the next part of the process is. The next part of the process is that this course is designed to be coordinated with a Red Cross disaster registered nurse. Although you are the faculty, part of the value of this course is that you work with a person who has been in the field, who has been in a shelter, who understands the Red Cross operations. So how do you find a Red Cross disaster RN if you don't know one yourself? There's two pathways. One is you can go to the Red Cross nurse at redcross.org and request a referral for a disaster health services contact person. And you'll want to be specific and use that language for that request. Or there's a second pathway, and that is you can just go to the website of www.redcross.org and enter your zip code. And when you enter the zip code of you or your university, it will pop up the nearest chapter offices, the phone, the email, and the physical address. And through that chapter, you can ask them for the disaster health services lead for their chapter or their region. And they can connect you with that person, and you can begin the next process, because you will see that that is a key step before you set the date for your class. Now, I know that in your curriculum you have limitations to how many dates you might have available, but many of our Red Cross volunteers are working and need to coordinate that time and date to work with you to come to your class, because part one of this course is all self-study. So part one is all component 1, component 2, and component 3, which is the post-test, are all self-study. The students do that part at home. When you plan the 2 hours for the exercise, that's when the Red Cross nurse comes to your classroom and you actually do a web-based tabletop exercise. And we've had upwards of 4,000 students a year taking this course. So I appreciate that you will understand that we just can't quickly change the time. I know you have that flexibility in your curriculum to switch out a subject that you were going to do on Tuesday and switch it to Thursday because something else comes along. But with these courses, because they are orchestrated at multiple levels, we really can't change the date and the time. The platform for this is being run by a volunteer who gives us this out of Florida, and there's many moving parts, and it's managed and taught by volunteers. So I'm sorry for that, but that's the situation. Now, if you go back to that home page and scroll down, you'll see a piece on the page that looks like this. This is what happens after you've scheduled your exercise. So you've met with your Red Cross nurse, you've picked a date and a time, you've filled out the request, an exercise form, and now your university, you can just take a look at this page, you know, University of Miami is going to be doing one, the date and the time and how to register. Your school will show up there within a day or two, and Chris Floyd, our volunteer donor of the program, will send you a note to confirm that. It's important that you understand that having requested this exercise does not register you as faculty. So you also need to click on Register Now and register yourself as the faculty. And having registered yourself as the faculty for the course, Chris knows to send you the username and password for the exercise day. So the day that we do the exercise in class in real time, you will have been given a username and a password that you need to use to get us into your course, because each course is specific to the university. So, and I've been doing this for many years with some of my universities here, and I know it feels weird, but it does have to be done every year that you use the class. You have to go back in, request the course, the date, the time, and register yourself. And once you have registered and the exercise is listed, then you can say to your students, you need to go to www.disasterhealthandsheltering, and they need to take part 1 and they need to register. So they need to do both the top part, each of the 3 components, then they need to scroll down the page, find their university, and click on it and register their name. It has to be done prior to 48 hours before the exercise, because the HCEP system includes that there's a cutoff for registration. That's just the way they're done. So they can't do a do-over. I routinely have a student come to me and say, I forgot to register till last night or whatever. That's fine. There is no consequence other than the discussion between the student and the faculty about having not followed the instructions. But for their outcome, the primary consequence of them not registering is they don't get the after-action review, which contributes to them being able to build a certificate. So they get 2 certificates. When they take part 1, component 3 is the post-test. A lot of faculty ask their students to take that post-test and bring the certificate to class on exercise day as a way to close the loop on demonstrating that they did their homework. However, there's a second time that they use that registration, which is after they've had the live class, which gives them an after-action review, and after they submit the after-action review, they get a second certificate that says they have actually completed the entire course. Now, about a week before the exercise date, you as faculty will get an email from Chris that has a list of the students who have registered. So if you want to do some backtracking to catch those students up to getting going on it, you will have a list of who in your class has registered. So when the students register, within 24 hours of registering, they all get a confirmation and a login for part 2, just like you did. And it comes from Disaster Resistant Communities Group. So it's DRC Group. It's not from Red Cross. So they shouldn't delete it. And we haven't had any problems with his addresses going to spam. So it should be fine. They should get that. And then again, about a week before the exercise, you will get a list of students who have registered for the class. Many faculty want to see the course before we deliver the course, and that is not possible. For one thing, the way it's set up as a HCEP course, part of that kind of disaster training is that you don't, in a real disaster, you have to think on your feet. And so the course has been deeply vetted by many field and academic experts to assure that the content is appropriate and that it can be both grasped and adapted to multiple levels of student ability. It's primarily designed to fit in public health or community health and disaster modules for junior or senior nursing students. It's being taught at medical schools. Personally, I've taught this many, many times, and I find that once at the end of the semester where students have done the community health curriculum, they're much more able to interact with the content of the course. They have more public health language and understand the principles better. But that's for you and your RN, your local RN, to decide. There are some mini modules each month. So once you get registered under Chris's site, he will send you emails, or at the bottom of the email you get, or even on the website when you scroll down, you'll see that you can link to a mini module that shows you how the course works. And also I have a crib notes available, so if you really want to see at least something before you deliver the course, you can see the crib notes that give you a little synopsis of what happens on each slide. But it's got embedded videos, it's got case studies, it's got a lot of meat for the students to have to problem solve. So there's a lot there for you to work with, and really, you know, all of us as professionals have had to think on our feet, and it's really quite possible to do this in real time the first time through. On exercise day, be sure you bring your username and password that you got from Chris. At about 10 minutes before the start of the class, you'll go to the link that he gives you, and the login is in the top right-hand corner, and you can begin to log in. It's important that the students do not log in. I say no computers out during class when I'm teaching. There's only one computer running in the exercise, and that's the one that's running for the whole classroom. The other thing is that I know some of us are interested in being as early as possible. And it is recommended that the faculty not log in too early because there is a timestamp system to help. So you don't want to have 30 minutes have gone by before you actually start the course content, just because it's confusing. It doesn't change anything about how the course works. It just means you get reminders when you've spent too long on a page because you're out of sync with the timestamp. But don't worry about that too much. And most of all, really have fun. I love this course. I love teaching it. The students really get involved. I really push all the questions out to them and say, how would you solve that? What do you know? And really the intent of that is that at the end of the day, the students really have had fun, and they do feel more comfortable that they could work in support of their local Red Cross in a shelter. They will get an after-action review. So that's the second part of their having registered for the course. It's considered a critical part of learning for us because we get feedback from the students on the learning process and whether we have good questions or whether they're, and getting something out of it. We do two parts of an after-action. So at the end of the class in real time with the whole class, we do a after-action review as a group. So I say, as a class, do you believe that you could do this now? What worked well in this training? What do you wish was different? Those kind of questions. And then within 24 to 48 hours, the students get one mailed to their personal email address they registered with, and we ask them to give a personal, private, things they might want to say they didn't want to say in class, or something they thought about that they didn't mention that they want to say. And at the end of that after-action review at home on their private computer, they get a final certificate verifying the course completion. For you as faculty, within a week of completing part 2, which is the exercise, you will get the comments from what's called a hot wash or the after-action review. That's 2 words for the same thing. You may want to share those comments with the volunteer from American Red Cross or discuss particular things you want to do differently the next time because your student said, I hated this, or I liked that, or could we do this, or whatever. Those kind of things come up, and you might decide you want to continue doing that. So that's the end of the faculty support. I hope you have a great class and enjoy this content as much as possible. Thank you very much.